Hello lovelies, it is time for our crystal grid. So you're going to want to grab your emotion empowerment box for support for this kit. Now, one of the first things we like to highlight is, of course, the grid itself. Now, if this is your first grid with us, or if you are already familiar with grids, then you probably already know this. The purpose behind the grids is to be support and intention and focus. It helps our physical mind to have a visual reminder as long as we have the grid out. It helps our spiritual side to align and ask for assistance, whether through our angels or with the crystals we place. And it allows our emotional self to feel that sense of trust, that things are flowing the way they're designed to. So in this particular kit, it's interesting because I sit down with a blank piece of paper. I don't have any plan of what I'm drawing, and Spirit just says, here it is. So it's definitely an intuitive painting. So in this case, there's a lot of symbolism. The important thing is to tune into what it means for you and what it inspires within you. And I promise there are no wrong answers. And also in this, you'll notice we have the flow of the water. So water is very symbolic for emotion, the feminine, and flowing. And so allowing yourself to honor that piece. And then we have the lotus, which is not just sitting on the water, but it's being raised and lifted high above the water. And if you think of the lotus itself, it lives in pond scum. It lives in the darkness. It's surrounded by the bottom feeders, right? So it's not the most enlightened place to be. Yet it spends all of its life growing and growing, and it's growing and it's growing, and it gets up to that surface and then it blooms. And in this case, it doesn't just bloom, but it gets raised up. And its first time it gets to kiss the sun is when it's blooming. And then it gets everything it needs, but it already had just enough to move forward and grow. And so it's about recognizing that. We also have the abundance of petals, which is very symbolic. If you think of your whole pelvis and unfolding to many petals, as we've talked about in some of our previous videos with the lotus, this is that energy that we're pulling in. We also have, if you look closely, there is that triangle. That's going to guide us in where we place our grids. The triangle is also one of the strongest symbols because it shows a pairing to get to something higher. It shows a strong foundation. So it's you plus some support or help to get to something higher. So mind, body, spirit, mind, body, spirit. You have Father, Son, Holy Ghost. You have you and me and God. We have a lot of symbolism with that triangle. And so that's what we're going to pull in is you and that supporting partnership, whether it's a physical person or a non-physical person, whether it's the support of a tree and you to have a peaceful day. What are those partnerships that you're pulling in? What is that thing that needs to be paired with? Keep this in mind as you do your crystal grid, because these are some of the intentions and the ahas that we get when we place our crystal grid. On this one, I would recommend having your Magnetized Crystal. And if you watched the last video, it can be the red, the orange. These are both Magnetized. Okay. So having your Magnetized Crystal here at the base, and it's going to be on the feminine side, which is the left side. So I think we're flipped, but it's on my left feminine side. So right there at the base of the triangle, that's where you're putting the Magnetized Crystal. Okay. Magnetized base. And that's because that's a foundation and it's going to be grounding. And then your gold stone is about your goals and your dreams and your visions. So that goes up at the point. And then your super 7 is what you use to access information, whether it's information here on earth, whether it's information with your divine guiding counsel, with your angels. You're going to put that on the right side, the masculine side. So that's the bottom corner. So that's some additional support. And then we have our lodestone. We have our magnetized crystal. Da-da-da-da. Okay. So this one, you have a few choices, but I recommend putting it underneath on the palm of the hand, underneath, because it supports all and it's drawing in all that help and support. And then you'll take some of your gold magnetic sand and you're going to sprinkle some on the top of your lodestone. I do recommend burning your incense beforehand, or even having it present to smell. And then afterwards, I would take some time and do some journaling. What are the desires that your heart's unfolding to you? What are some of the things that you're calling in, that you're needing some help and support with, that you haven't been able to voice? If you've got that agate on, you can put that on your wrist or you can lay it on your throat and ask yourself, what do I need? what do I need? Or even asking yourself, what do I want? Because sometimes we'll only settle for what we need instead of what we actually want. And so allowing yourself to say, what am I desiring? What do I really want? What do I need to have happen in order to get what I want? And allowing yourself to ask some of these questions. Now, another level, if you have a hard time setting aside time to analyze and go through, I recommend getting out your bentonite clay, mixing a little bit in your onyx bowl, and applying it on. You can leave it for 10 minutes till it gets crackly and dry. And in that 10 minutes, write down as many things that you want and as many things that you need right now in order to get what you want. And then that way it's only 10 minutes. And we can all take 10 minutes to have a moment to think and get grounded and get centered in what we're creating, what we're bringing in, and what we're cultivating. So that is the crystal grid. As you can see here, we've got them all laid out. And I'm just going to add some gold sand. There's the sand on the lodestone. How sparkly it is. Now I can mix my clay in here and apply it. You can also add more crystals to each of these sections. You want to use the garnet from inside your roller bottle. You can apply those along the bands.